As we grow older, our bodies undergo a symphony of hormonal changes, some subtle, others more dramatic, and nutrition plays a central role in how smoothly this performance goes. Carbohydrates, often unfairly painted as villains, are in fact key allies in maintaining hormonal balance in aging adults. The way carbs interact with insulin, thyroid hormones, stress hormones, and even sex hormones can make the difference between graceful aging and the frustrating cascade of fatigue, weight gain, and metabolic decline. At the heart of this relationship is insulin sensitivity. Carbohydrates stimulate insulin release, which helps shuttle glucose into muscle and liver cells for energy and storage. In younger people, insulin usually does this efficiently. But with age, insulin sensitivity tends to decline, setting the stage for higher blood sugar levels and eventually type 2 diabetes. Here's where balanced carb intake becomes critical. Fiber-rich whole carbohydrates slow glucose absorption, preventing sharp spikes that overwhelm the system. By keeping glucose release steady, they encourage insulin to work effectively rather than pushing the body into a chronic resistance mode. This preserves insulin sensitivity and helps aging adults avoid the metabolic spiral that leads to fatigue, weight gain, and cardiovascular risk. Carbs also influence thyroid function, which is often overlooked in conversations about aging. The thyroid regulates metabolism, body temperature, and energy production, and it relies on sufficient carbohydrate intake for optimal hormone conversion, specifically the conversion of T4 to the more active T3. Extremely low-carb diets can blunt this conversion, leaving people sluggish, cold, and prone to slowed metabolism. For older adults, who may already be dealing with naturally declining thyroid activity, a carb-deprived diet can worsen symptoms of hypothyroidism and accelerate the metabolic slowdown of aging. Cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, is another player here. When carbohydrate intake is too low, cortisol levels tend to rise as the body attempts to mobilize energy from proteins and fats. While a temporary spike is normal, chronically elevated cortisol can suppress immunity, break down muscle tissue, and disrupt sleep, all issues that become more pronounced with age. Adequate carbohydrate intake, especially around physical activity, helps keep cortisol in check by ensuring the body doesn't have to constantly scramble for alternative energy sources. This not only protects muscle mass, but also supports better recovery, mood, and immune resilience. Even sex hormones like estrogen and testosterone are influenced by carbs. For women in perimenopause or postmenopause, moderate carb intake can help reduce the severity of hot flashes and mood swings by supporting serotonin production and stabilizing blood sugar. For men, carbs play a role in maintaining testosterone, especially when paired with regular physical activity. Carbohydrate availability supports exercise performance, which in turn stimulates anabolic signaling pathways that preserve lean mass and hormone levels. In both cases, carbs act as quiet stabilizers, helping smooth out the hormonal turbulence of aging. The gut microbiome adds another layer. Fiber-rich carbohydrates feed beneficial bacteria that, in turn, influence hormone metabolism and signaling. Certain gut microbes help regulate estrogen recycling and the production of short-chain fatty acids, which have downstream effects on inflammation and insulin sensitivity. A well-fed microbiome translates into healthier hormonal patterns, particularly in aging adults whose gut diversity may already be declining. Taken together, these interactions paint a clear picture. Carbohydrates aren't just about quick energy, they are integral to hormonal harmony. Cutting them too drastically can throw thyroid, insulin, cortisol, and even sex hormones off balance, compounding the very issues aging adults are trying to avoid. Instead, the smart strategy is to emphasize high-quality carbs, whole grains, legumes, fruits, and starchy vegetables that stabilize blood sugar, preserve muscle, feed the microbiome, and maintain a steady hormonal environment. In practical terms, this means that the best anti-aging diets don't demonize carbs, but embrace them strategically. Adequate carbohydrate intake supports metabolic flexibility, hormonal balance, and overall vitality in aging adults. It's a reminder that, far from being the enemy, carbs are often the very allies needed to keep the body's hormonal orchestra playing in tune well into the later decades of life.